Welcome to Quick Sidebar, where we talk about anything and everything and get distracted often. I'm Bradley here with
Jake.
I didn't know where we were going. Dan.
Yeah, I should have been looking at Bradley, but I was looking at you.
Well, why are you looking at me? This isn't my episode. This is Brad's episode.
Wow, thanks guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Hey, anytime, pal.
It's always a pleasure.
Every time.
One of these days you guys will have one without me.
Yeah, someday.
What are we talking about today, Bradley?
Video games. As an art form.
Ooh.
Yes.
Video game. I was trying to make like a Fortnite reference, but I decided not to because...
Yeah, we're actually not going to talk about Fortnite. I was very specific in my notes not to include it.
We're not going to talk about Fortnite. Got it.
We were talking about things similar to Fortnite, though.
Like PUBG.
But you know what? Fortnite itself has brought video games to the mainstream.
That's true. Well, I mean, it was already pretty mainstream.
But I mean, like the mega mainstream, like Drake and professional football players and basketball players are like streaming together, and like Tyler Ninja Blevins was on the cover of ESPN magazine.
This is what they want. They want us to say we're not going to talk about it, and then you literally spend a minute talking about it.
Fuck.
Well, you've already broken your
Bradley, get us back on track.
We've already broken a rule already.
All right, so first, I guess I want to touch on video games as an art and the form of storytelling.
Okay.
Like video games, just in general, I think are such like an interesting way of storytelling because it does it in such a way that no other medium really can. You know, like it pulls you in a way that like movies and television, let's say, or books can't in quite the same way because you're actually taking on a character in the story.
Right.
And so you have much more of an emotional connection to what is happening in the story.
It's true.
Do you think that video game companies or developers, story writers of video games, do you think they have to try harder to make you like to make you buy into the character that you're playing as, or less hard than like a movie? Because you know, for a movie to be successful, for you to you have to make your audience care about your protagonist, or else what's the point of the movie?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you think the video game companies have to try harder or easier because you have that immersive effect? You know that you're going to play as this character. It's not like, I mean, for some games you get to choose, but what do you think they have to try harder or less hard?
I think it depends on a lot of things. Like, in some ways it makes it harder in the sense that you have to figure out a way to write a good story while also figuring out a way to write in gameplay. Because people don't play games just to watch a story. They want a story and they also want to do cool stuff.
Right.
Like a great example that's very recent is Red Dead Redemption 2, which has like a really awesome story and is written really well and makes you care about these characters and really get invested in what's going on, but has, you know, solid gameplay and interesting missions and things going on all the time. And it doesn't necessarily, I mean, at least for me, when I played it, it didn't feel ever like... didn't ever feel like these missions were just thrown in as like, you know, because like video games get a lot of flack for repeating missions. You know, it's basically the same mission over and over again.
Yeah.
And it never really felt like that. It always felt like there was a reason and a purpose behind what we're doing right now, even if this is the second or third bank I've robbed in the game.
Right.
Spoiler alert. God, I'm still like only 10% done, Bradley.
I haven't even bought it yet, but now I won't. now I know you
robbed banks. Big surprise. Spoilers. I'm sorry.
Is that under the R rating? It's like blood, violence, sexuality, robbing of banks. Like
bank robbery.
Bank robbery. Okay, I have some thoughts to share. I just want to go back and say that little chuckle Bradley had in the middle of his very serious speech was because Jake was trying to play footsie with me, and I caught him. So I want to give Bradley the excuse.
I would have been more concerned if you hadn't caught him playing footsie with you.
Well,
Dan.
the reason why Bradley stopped was because Dan, it looked like a bug hit his face. He just kind of like a full body like.
Yeah, I wanted it, Jake. I whispered, "You son of a bitch," and Bradley caught me. Anyway, I was gonna say that I think it's easier for games to get people to be more attached to the characters, only because you automatically are more attached because you're playing as them, so you start to like live with them. But you brought up a good point. I think that part's easier for them. But I think the gameplay and making that intriguing and changing and challenging and fun, while also not being so stupid hard that you don't want to play the game, that's the real challenge. And whereas a movie, it's more as like we're just going to create the character and show people. So I think you're right. Ultimately, with yes, it's harder for video game creators to do that because they have two things they're balancing.
But it's also interesting too because it's not always about like with video games. It's not always about making you feel like you are the character you're playing as. Like a good example would be like Telltale Games. Basically, their whole I don't know if you guys know what Telltale.
What are some examples of?
They made a Walking Dead game series, and they made
there a lot of. They were in the news lately.
Yeah,
did they just go bankrupt?
Yeah, they went bankrupt.
They take everything Bradley says with a grain of salt.
Not a sponsor.
Definitely not a sponsor. And we don't want you to be. Anymore.
Yeah, they did a Game of Thrones series as well, and like a Borderlands. They did all kinds of stuff.
They did Borderlands.
Yeah, it was really good actually. Tales from the Borderlands.
Borderlands.
You should play it if you like Telltale Games. But basically, they were very. For those of you who don't know, they're very like story oriented. It was like primarily cutscenes and not a lot of like actual gameplay. But
it would just like go from here to here.
The gameplay primarily was making choices. And so that's like another way that video games are a great medium for telling stories is they give the audience members the option to choose where the story goes.
Hell yeah, they do. Like Oregon Trail.
Yeah. And that's something that I can easily see becoming like a huge thing going forward. Like another good example of that was very much not like a video game was they created like a series of 3 games on the Xbox store. The only one that I can remember right now off the top of my head is called Late Shift. And basically it was a live action game. So the entire game is people. It's filmed like a movie.
Yeah.
Wasn't like the best writing or acting, but it was a novel idea because it was basically Telltale Games, but with actual people. Like the whole thing was like a movie.
So you picked
but then when you needed to make a decision, it would kind of like have a long shot of the person's face like it would in a video game, and the 2 choices or like the 4 choices, and you'd have to pick the choice, and then it would cut into the next footage that they filmed. So basically, they just filmed a bunch of different like scenarios. Yeah.
That's cool.
And so I could easily see that becoming less of like a video game thing and more of like a way that like TV shows.
The way that you watch a show is you decide, and then you can.
Yeah.
You can even go back through and make different decisions.
I feel like Disney. I may be pulling this completely out of my ass, but I feel like Disney Channel or Nickelodeon, like one of the kids channels, they had like a text to vote or something on like, what do you think will happen next, or like.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
It rings a bell. And then, and then that would affect what would happen.
Yeah.
No, that definitely is something that happened. I can't remember.
And they do that a lot on, like Twitch streams, too, where they'll play a game like a Telltale Games game.
And they'll get their fans to
they'll ask their fans, what choice do you want to make? And then whichever one gets the most votes ends up winning.
Gosh, that's just like video gameception right there.
Yeah.
Like you're giving your audience the choice to make the choice for you for the choice for your game.
Exactly.
That's
well,
that's smart.
Well, I think Brad's onto something. I think the choice making games are. I mean, they've always been around. I mean, you look at like Oregon Trail. I mean, do you ever play that game? Like,
never.
Just out of that genre. I'm old, so I played. It's like a old ass like 8-bit computer game where
you guys play the first Atari.
I'm old. Back in my day.
You guys remember when Pong came out?
What a time!
I just turned 38.
I just turned. Had my 5th kid. It was like a shitty 8-bit like game on like giant ass computers where you had to like.
I played it on my phone. They made it into like a
modern phone game, but that was the shit back in like first grade. And you'd have a family, and someone always dies of dysentery, and you have to get to Oregon, and all this shit would happen, and you weren't prepared and making the right decisions, you would die, and or like The Sims. The Sims is a classic decision making game essentially. I mean, you're deciding how to live, which is really weird because you're like living through a little person who you can either choose to completely fuck over or give them the greatest existence ever, or you can do horrible jacked up things like I did when I played The Sims.
Well, I think those games are bizarre too. It reminds me of that episode of The Office when Dwight starts playing Second Life. And he gets so wrapped into it that he becomes a game developer and makes Second Life. I really think that games like Sims or either Sims or games like
simulation games. Yeah,
I really think that a good population of a good demographic of those that played those games like really did get sucked into it, because you get to live a life that you aren't living. And that's
and that's why it's fun, because then you can make poor decisions and have no real repercussions. You can just have this virtual person have whatever happened to them, or
kind of going off of that and taking that into a new area, is the way that video games are being used as simulation games for training people to do actual jobs.
I can see that. I mean, the virtual reality is getting better and better. So.
Yeah, like I remember reading somewhere, I could be wrong about this, but I think that this is accurate. Don't quote me on this.
Fact check us at home, folks.
Yes.
Let us know in the comments.
That I heard that certain places are creating simulations for like doctors and surgeons.
Oh, I have seen that. Yeah,
that are like realistic and
surgery or whatever.
Yeah, and there are like games like like farming sim and crap like that like I would imagine must have some sort of educational value of like actually how.
No, there's no. There's like a John Deere farming game. It's like a serious game. It looks real.
It's not fun.
I love it.
It's like a job.
It really is a job.
You
like,
literally
I'm not
run
kidding.
a fucking farm, Jake.
The whole game is actually running a farm. You have to figure out which tractor you want to buy, and they have all like different kinds of tractors and crap.
They have plain ones. They have train ones where you literally are conductor of a fucking train.
Are they sold as like video games or like
they're sold?
video
They're video games, but they're simulation games, and they're very realistic.
Oh, that sounds awful.
There's one where you can fly planes, and it's like you have to know how to fly, how to do all this shit, and look at dials, or the plane in the game will fucking plummet.
Yeah,
awful shit, but it's real.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
The closest I get to that is playing like Roller Coaster Tycoon and that kind of shit. I love Planet Coaster.
Jam.
See, the SeaWorld Tycoon.
SeaWorld Tycoon was hard.
Yeah.
I had one park that was super successful, and I filled the whole space and kept making money. Nice. But then at that point, it's like you can't do anything, so you quit. And I tried to do it again. I never could.
And kind of going back on simulation games, as you were describing, like mostly cutscenes, and you get to make decisions. I hate those games.
Yeah,
and that's funny because I really like good storytelling and I really like being totally immersed into something. But when I'm playing I think that video games serve just constant stimulation for me. Like when I play it, the NBA 2K was under so much flack for like the last 4 years because they started integrating this story mode to their My Player category, their My Player game, and no one cared. Like, no one cared who your friends were. No one cared that you had a relationship with your mom, because it was all about playing in the NBA. It was all about just, like, getting your My Player better and better. Right. And they made it so you couldn't skip the cutscenes, and, like, NBA sales were plummeting. And then they announced, like, 2 weeks or 3 weeks before they released NBA 2K19 that you could skip the cutscenes, and it was the most successful game that they've ever sold. And, like, for me, and, like, when I
blow to the writer's ego. He's like, I worked so hard on those cutscenes.
Well, and what's funny, though, is now that you can skip the cutscenes, I seldom do. It's like the fact that now I have a choice. It's like, well, let's see. Let's see what I'd be missing if I skipped it. And all of a sudden now I'm enticed, and there's like an incentive
so maybe they have a genius working at 2K. It's like, okay, here's the deal, guys. If we tell the fuckers they can't skip, they won't skip, and then everyone's happy. They buy it, and we get our cutscenes.
Bada bing, bada boom.
And an Italian mobster makes 2K games.
Yeah. So that was my 2 cents. I don't have the patience for them.
So you don't have the patience for simulation games or choice or decision making games?
Ones that have a lot of cutscenes. I just like to be doing things. Well, I don't like to sit around.
It's almost like you have to kind of approach it in a different way. Like if you approach it like if I would hate Telltale games if I was ever approaching them in like I'm about to play a game.
Yeah, you almost can't treat those like video games.
You can't really. You have to almost treat it like a TV show where like you need to watch the next episode or whatever. You know,
your dad shouts to your room, "Hey, Jake, what are you doing?" "Oh, just watching a story, Dad." Instead of playing a game, instead of playing Xbox. That was a bad example. That sucked. That sucked.
You know, I realized, Jake,
you listening at home, let me know out of 10 what you thought of that.
If one of us doesn't like break out in uproarious laughter when you tell a joke, you immediately start going, "Oh, that's not good." So then I sit here and get quieter and quieter because you go, "No, that's bad. It's bad."
It's a coping mechanism. If I acknowledge that it sucks, then no one can make fun of me that it sucks.
That's a good point.
It's not just you that I do that. It's everywhere with everybody. If I know a joke sucks, I will call it out right off the bat because then it's just out there in the open. No one has to be.
You gotta stand by your joke. When you say a stupid joke, you know it's dumb the whole time, and you just what I did. You just say something stupid and you let it sit and you just move on.
That's the difference between you and me, Dan.
That's why Dan is so sad.
Is that it? Is that what it is? Because it cracked the case.
I'm sorry.
You cracked the case.
That's why Dan is one sad motherfucker.
Wow, I'm just gonna leave.
Jesus H, that was funny, Bradley.
Yeah, so
Thank
funny.
you.
Laughing at my pain. It's fine.
Another game I want to touch on that probably no one has heard of is a game called A Beginner's Guide, or I think it's The Beginner's Guide, actually. It was an indie game on Steam. If you have Steam, you should absolutely check it out. I thought it was a really good game, really well done, but it's absolutely not like a game for anyone who's looking for constant stimulation or anything like that. It's not an action. It's not like a thriller. It's kind of like a documentary, actually, which is what makes it really interesting. It's basically... It's a collaboration of a bunch of tiny games that this guy's friend made. And these games are like as basic as you start out in a room, and they're really artsy. Like some of them don't have an end. Some of them don't, like, there's no goal. You're just existing in this room, and the room has certain things in it, and they're very like, they're art pieces, basically, is what each of the games are. And so it's a series and a compilation of all these games, and over the top of it is this guy narrating this whole story of these games that he was producing and kind of explaining the game that you're in right now and the way that it worked and everything else. And it's fascinating. Like, it's really interesting. And I found myself, like, getting really invested in this guy and, like, these games and, like, trying to figure out what these games meant to him and why he made them. And then by the end of it, I cried. Like, I bawled.
Damn.
It was such a powerful game. I thought it was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I've never seen anything else like it before. And I don't think I've seen anything like it since, but...
Weird.
Really interesting. You should absolutely check it out. It's called The Beginner's Guide.
The Beginner's Guide.
Yeah.
Is it just for PC?
It is just for PC, yeah, because it's very, like, I mean, it's just a compilation of games. Like, it's very, like, PC low budget, so...
Do you know what Steam is?
I do know what Steam is.
Well, then it's only on PC. Then.
Well, why don't you explain to our listeners what Steam is?
Some things are on Steam, and some things are on...
I was playing him. That's why I asked
and
him.
Xbox.
Right. You ever heard of Jackbox Party Games?
It's on everything.
It's on Steam. It's on Xbox. It's on... Why don't you explain what Steam is for those that may not know? Let's include everybody.
Why don't you explain what Steam is?
When water gets really hot, it emits...
Oh, get the fuck out!
The water becomes the steam.
Water is steam.
Right, yeah.
Steam is water.
Doesn't really emit.
Oh, gosh.
Sorry. That was
We're talking...
We're water. If you want to get there,
I'm sorry.
we're a collection of water and protein.
Steam is a platform on your computer. It's like an application you can download. It's got a store and a community that you can join.
It's a game.
Basically, you buy games on it and play games through it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now you know.
A lot of horror games are on there, like those popular horror games, like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Do we want to talk about horror games?
Yeah, let's talk about horror games. Can I just start off with saying that horror games scare the shit out of me?
That's the point.
Fuck.
It's called a horror game.
Horror games are a great example of a medium used well.
Yes.
Because nothing is... I mean, like... Because horror movies and shows, I mean, you can go so far. But horror games, as we've talked about, just immerse you in it. So you are there.
Yeah.
You feel so... Okay, I gotta admit, like, when Five Nights at Freddy's, the first one came out, and it was a big frenzy, I was like, okay, I gotta check out this game, and it was like $3, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna fucking do it, and I bought the game, and I remember the feeling just sitting there in front of my computer, playing this game, I felt so exposed out in the open.
Because you are.
And I was just like, I'm in my bedroom. I'm perfectly safe, but I just felt like these animatronics could literally come up and kill me. And it was just it's a stupid, like, it's like a Flash game. It's not, there's not even full animations on the original game. And so, but it's so, like, I don't know, scarier than hell. So scary.
I love the ways that horror game developers can create, like, such fear in people using, like, such simple things.
Simple.
That's what I love about horror games, and even, like, the horror genre in general, is, like, the way that they cleverly use things that are so simple, so basic, and you can see right through them, but it doesn't matter.
Well, and I think the reason why the horror genre is done successfully so much more often in the video game world than the movie world or television is I think that we use the stupidity and the failure of others to make smart decisions as a coping mechanism for why something's not scary. Like, for me, if most scary movies I watch, I just say that person's dumb. They shouldn't have done this. Therefore, the movie's stupid. It doesn't make sense. I'm not scared. But when you are in control of the decisions that your person is making, and you're making those stupid decisions, there's no separation. You can't just be like, okay, well, turn the movie off. And you're like, of course, you can turn the Xbox off or whatever. But knowing that you are in full control, and sometimes you have no control. You know, like, you have no control of where the demon is. I get anxiety just talking about it.
It's literally, it takes, when you're watching a movie or a play, you have no responsibility.
Yeah.
All the responsibility of the story is completely, so you're just like, I'm just going to sit here and just let whatever happens to me. When you're playing a game, all the responsibility has been put on you all of a sudden. You have to decide where to go, where to run, and you have to do it in a way that helps the character survive while this creature or whatever it is coming after you. And so that's scarier than hell. It's a way, because you project yourself into this character, and whether it's because you feel guilty for them or bad for them because they're going to get killed or whatever the reason is, you're connected, you are, and you're so much more scared.
And that's why almost every horror game, not all, but almost every horror game is first person.
Yeah, because it literally... Well, and it's funny, too, to bring up the horror thing. One of my favorite games, or my favorite game series, is BioShock. Yeah. Specifically, like, the first BioShock. And it's not technically a horror game.
Talk about a good example of storytelling.
No, that's beautiful storytelling. But that's probably one of the scariest games I've ever played. Just because of the way it's set up. If you're not familiar with the game, it's an underwater city where it's really dark and it's falling apart and water's coming in, and there's these drug addicts called splicers, and they're crazy and monsters. And it's dark and it's scary, and you're going through water and electricity.
I wish I had played BioShock much before I did.
Yeah, like sooner.
Because much sooner. Because now when I play BioShock, it's not scary.
No,
I've been, like, so desensitized because of, like, the other horror games that I've played that are like really intense. Like, a great game that I absolutely loved was Outlast.
No.
Such a good game.
Outlast is a crazy game.
It was
fuck that game.
No, that game is nuts.
It was crazy because, like, it kind of, like, broke barriers for me, at least. Like, there were certain things that, like, you just don't really expect to see.
Well, and that
have happen, and you're just like, whoa, I guess we're going there.
Outlast to me is the best horror game that's fleshed out. Because you have, like, Five Nights at Freddy's is a good horror game for what it was. It was very simple, and now, of course, they've turned it into a whole fucking franchise and ruined it. But Outlast was, like, a well-written story with a setting and a well put together story. They didn't just throw this shit together, and then it was scarier than shit.
Yeah, and it's so simple. Like, there are hardly any controls.
All you do is just avoid shit.
You have a camera. That's it. You have a camera, and you can activate the night vision. That's all you can do.
And you gotta find bad. You like put bad, but it's not. You don't have to fight anything. You don't have to unlock puzzles
and it's
per se.
It's so, like, easy to pick up and play. Anybody can play that game because there's almost no learning curve.
Yeah, all you gotta have is 2 opposable thumbs and a diaper. Because you won't shit yourself.
Right.
That's what. Did that read?
It did.
Was it clear
did.
that?
Yeah, it did. It read.
So
I understood what you were saying.
I didn't need to say. Well, I actually meant to say and a colon.
Because of a diaper, like colon.
Because you will shit yourself.
See, that wouldn't have read as well.
That'd have been funnier though, because colons are a poop colon, like
right. Yeah. I wasn't talking about the.
I see.
He wasn't talking about the
I was wondering why are you confused then? What are we even? What's the discussion here, Kademi? You made a dumb joke. Let it sit.
All right.
Outlast was a great game.
Yes.
The
Solid game.
DLC I thought was actually better than the game itself.
See, I'm kind of a liar when it comes to Outlast. I haven't played the whole game, but I've watched people play the whole game. I played it, but not the whole
Me
game.
and my friend Michael, shout out, played through Outlast.
Shout out.
Played through Outlast in a single night. The entire game.
Did you
and then
sleep?
It became and then it became kind of a tradition. And so when the DLC came out, we played through the entire DLC in one night, which was much easier because it's much shorter. And then when the second one came out, we played through the whole thing as well in a single night.
Dang.
The second one, not that great. Kind of disappointing.
That one came out and had no murmur about it. It just kind of came out.
Yeah,
and
it was
sank.
so disappointing because Outlast was such a success and it was so much fun, so well done. And then Outlast 2 came out and it was kind of a bust.
The other thing about Outlast that makes it really special, I think, is that it wasn't produced by some huge studio at first.
Yeah, I think it was like Red Barrels.
Some small, like kind of like a couple dudes in a room are like, hey, we should make this game.
Yeah, but it's really polished.
It's really, it's super well done. I mean, it looks like 2K or one of these big
professional.
Valve.
You know what is fascinating? It's actually because of you, Bradley, that I am aware of this. I had no idea how vast the video game market was because of independent developers. I had no, you've introduced me, just like hanging at your house, you've introduced me to probably more indie games than I'd ever been introduced to before because
Really?
I only started playing video games when I was younger, but it was always serialized hit games, the blockbuster games, Smash Brothers, Madden, that's all I knew, that's all I needed. But it is such an incredible industry that there is so much content available. You could play forever. Because when I think of video games, I think of Call of Duty. I think of the sports games, the Maddens and the NBAs. And I think of Assassin's Creed. But you look at the trend; those are all games that come out every single year by the same company. That
it's scheduled.
Yeah, and I think that it's overlooked how in depth and how
robust, fleshed out.
Just how
robust. I want to say it again, please. Just go with it.
How robust the video game industry is. I'm very impressed.
That's not the word. See, and I still feel incomplete. I can tell that wasn't the word. When people are thinking of a word and they don't get it, and you feel like, come on, get the word.
I just want you to find it.
Oh my God,
I want you to feel satisfaction, so I can feel satisfaction.
That's the next.
Wait a minute. I think that's the sound of a sponsor.
Oh, I hear that.
Yeah.
Sponsorship coming, folks.
Hey, Bradley, what are you doing?
I'm binging Ozark.
Cool. Well, we're headed out. We'll see you later tonight.
Jeez, Bradley, you're still watching?
Yeah, and it's been 10 hours and 16 minutes.
Really? Oh, jeez, time flies, huh?
Well, Bradley, I gotta say, you look great, all things considered.
And I feel great, too. That's because I got my binging clothes at Project Meta online.
Project Meta?
Yeah, guys. Project Meta is a clothing company right out of Fort Collins that makes comfortable, affordable clothing made for your long binging sessions.
Whoa!
Yeah! All I did was go to projectmetaonline.wixsite.com/projectmeta and they had a bunch of cool designs.
Wow! But, Bradley, you know me. I'm all about saving money. So, is there any way I could, save a couple pennies?
You sure can. Use coupon code SIDEBAR to get 10% off your purchase.
Awesome! Thanks, Project Meta!
We're back!
Sponsorship coming, folks.
There's a sponsorship coming, guys.
Oh, man. Wow. And we're back.
What a good, not cheesy sponsorship that was.
Yeah.
You almost say not cheesy as if it was. It wasn't.
No, I'm saying it's not cheesy.
Again, I worked really hard on these.
Yeah, I said not cheesy.
Just you.
I said not.
You
what do you want me to say?
Of sarcasm.
Reeked. You reeked of it.
Also, quick sidebar.
Yeah.
Because I said reeked. Shout out to Game of Thrones for finally letting us know about when season 8's coming out.
April, right?
Yeah.
Or is it March?
April. It was fluttering between April and May.
Not a sponsor.
Unless you want to be, seriously, though.
No pause there, unless you want to fucking please.
Yeah. Sponsor us, please. We love you. Who's the we? I don't even know who it is that we love.
You, well, the we is us. Who's the you?
Yeah, you. You're right. Sorry, the we.
The you is...
Well, the we is you two, actually.
Oh, right.
Don't lump...
Hey,
don't
have you
lump
started
together.
watching season 2 of Ozark?
I watched, like, half of the first episode because I got interrupted.
Oh, bummer. I'm like 2 episodes in.
Yeah?
It's intense.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not a sponsor.
Anyway,
Yeah.
video games.
Video games, yes.
Oh, God. I was like, Dale games? What the hell? I keep thinking you're having like a breakdown over here. You need
I kind of am, man. I'm pretty hungry.
Well, me too.
Yeah.
I'm really starving. We're waiting on a pizza. Anyway, so...
Hurry up, crazy Carls.
Not a sponsor.
Oh, that was really breathy.
It was. It's because I was... Not a sponsor. I can't even do it now without laughing.
Wow, the build-up.
All right.
This could be worth the build. No,
We'll
we
come
got
back to this. We'll come
Our
back to
fine fans have been waiting now.
I
You got to
really-
give them what
I
they
really
want.
hope-
Not a sponsor.
There we go.
There it is.
I really hope that everyone listening gets as much of a kick out of it. Is as invested in Bradley saying
Yeah.
it correctly as we are.
Me too, because otherwise you guys are getting really sick of us.
Well, if you're still listening at this point, you obviously don't hate us completely. So we must be doing
What is
something
this,
right.
like in the 20s now? Anyway.
Episode 400, right?
Yep.
We're gonna sit on this one until we get to 400.
We've already used that joke, Dan.
Have we?
We have.
Yeah, we didn't end
Episode
up doing
100,
it.
yeah.
But we...
Well, I talked about getting to 100, but I didn't say we.
All right.
It's,
Anyway,
it's tomato potato.
so before we continue on, I wanted to touch on the fact that you said that I've introduced you to a bunch of indie games, and I'm just really curious, what indie games are you talking about? Because I feel like I'm actually really uneducated in the vast like world of indie games.
Well, I mean, and again, maybe that's even more. Maybe I'm even more unaware of how many options and opportunities there are. The game, oh gosh, the one where we're like, it was kind of like a.
Oh.
I've said many.
Where we were
things.
playing a bunch of like clay dolls.
Yeah.
and-
I don't.
Yeah, it was
remember what
called Human Fall Flat.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just feel like we've
It's a
played.
weird name, but
What a
it's a
name.
good game.
I just feel like we've played a bunch of games that like I would never have played. Even like the
that's
the
fair.
Line Runner or what was that?
Oh,
The
Speedrunner.
Speedrunner.
Yeah.
Never would have played it, and it was very fun. And that
Yeah.
like
You know what you should play? Octodad. That's a fun.
Oh my gosh,
that's
Octodad.
Octodad is a fun indie.
That is a genre in and of itself. There are a lot of games kind of like that where you're controlling a whole body.
oh, have you played I Am Toast?
Yeah.
Yeah. Octodad's similar.
Or I Am Bread?
I Am
Yeah,
Bread. You
yeah.
want to become toast. Is, I think
That's
the point.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Octodad game is very similar in the sense that you're this octopus
Yeah.
who's posing as a human, and when you play, and you can play by yourself, and he moves in such a goofy way, it's very difficult. But if all three of us could play together, and Bradley could theoretically control the arms, and me and you would each take a leg. And and there's a setting.
You control all the limbs.
Individually, and you got to work together. And then there's a setting on
God.
it where once you complete said task, your control changes. So then you go from controlling the left leg, then maybe you might have the right arm or
Sounds
both
like
arms.
Sounds
or
like a
all
goddamn
three.
aneurysm.
It's
just waiting
fun.
to happen.
It's so fun because you have to work
No,
together as a
that
group.
does sound
If we ever
fun.
get some video game recording software, we should do that.
so
sometime.
fun. Octodad.
You know what game we got to play too? Overcooked.
Yeah.
Overcooked is so fucking fun. It's like $20 on Xbox. I don't know if PS4 has it.
It was free if you had gold
Oh,
last month, I think.
Not a
really?
sponsor.
Yeah, I fucking pay. Anyway, Overcooked. It's where you're like running you're running like a pizza shop or like you're chefs, and so each person runs like a different part of the kitchen. You have to strategize.
Yeah.
That would be a fun one. To
And that's
record
exactly how
because
kitchens are,
It is
by the way.
fucking chaotic.
That's yeah.
So that is a topic I wanted to talk about. But
Yeah.
another one that I really want to touch on is because really it's kind of our whole topic is video games as an art.
Yeah.
Is video games being used in such a way that is kind of more in the like general sense of art, of like just being like really like a beautiful game, or like being done in a certain way where the game itself is kind of an art piece. And I have a few examples of this. So these are going to be some ones that actually do fall kind of in the indie zone that you were referring to. There's a game called Journey.
Journey.
Yeah, and it's don't know if it might be on Xbox, but I know it's on PlayStation because that's where I played it. But it's basically like a game, and there's a lot of games like this where you play a protagonist that doesn't have a voice, and you just are dropped in this world, and you don't really know what's going on or what's happening, and the entire game has no dialogue, and you kind of just start to piece together this story as you go along and start to figure out who you are, what's going on, what this world is, and things like that. And I find those really interesting and really fascinating and really fun to play because it's just such an interesting experience, because it's sort of like, I mean... Yeah, it's sort of like it would be a great idea for like a TV show or like a movie or something, you know, where there's just like there's so little information given you, and you kind of have to piece it together using like means that you normally don't use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Again, you tell me who to shoot. Tell me who to kill kind of guy.
Well, I see, and
Run balls are blazing.
That's what games, I think, are started as. You know, they start as like a money-making mechanism that's so simple and just like Mario, for example. Like, that's not... I mean, yeah, there's story, but it's not like... Nowadays, like Red Dead's example, because that's the one that's currently out we're playing. But it's just like... You're unfolding the story at your pace, in your order. Well, also, you can get distracted and go off and hunt for a while, or go just fucking kill people, or go... And then come back to the story when you want. So it's like... You're experiencing the story how Rockstar wants you to, with also through your own avenues. So I don't know. I think video games are getting more in that style. Is the storytelling there, and that's what's selling. That's what's popular about them now.
And kind of a more popular example of that sort of game would be Limbo.
Oh,
that sounds familiar.
It's imagine like everything's black and white, and you play a silhouette of a boy with two glowing eyes.
It's like little paper cutouts, kind of almost.
Ah,
yeah.
Okay, do tell. Continue.
It's like a side-scrolling like 2D game.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like a puzzle game.
I do like puzzle games.
It looks like if you took like a bunch of clear paper and painted the characters on it and layered them and had the layers moving.
Like that's
Disney
really cool.
Movies. Like,
it's really good game. Like,
Is
it's
it for
fun,
Xbox?
Yeah. It's probably really cheap. It's been out for forever.
Ooh.
But if you are going to buy it, I have another game, and it comes bundled with it.
Bundles, love a good bundle.
But yeah, Limbo's a great example.
Oh, God, I love a good bundle.
Yeah.
Gotta go for the bundles.
Jeez.
It's a joke. Jake
yeah, thank you, Dan. We're not going to explain it. Continue, Bradley.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like Limbo's a great example because it's a game that has no dialogue, no speaking at all, or any cutscenes or anything like that, but it's just one continuous, basically, side-scroller. And there is a story to it, but it's very vague, and the developers don't tell you what the story is. And so you kind of have to it's almost like a type of game where you have to decide what the story is for yourself.
Yeah, which is really kind of almost better because you can make your own.
Yeah. And they made another game, that same company, called Inside. You may have seen like ads for it because it was kind of more popular because of Limbo's success. But that was a really interesting game. That was really weird at the very end. Like, it just kind of started to get weird, but really good. And I didn't get it when it ended. Like, I did not understand what it meant because it just kind of ends and you're just kind of left there with like, okay. So I
were left in, one could say, limbo. You try to steal my Jake joke. Fuck you.
What, didn't even do nothing.
I didn't even do nothing.
Yeah, but it was really interesting to look up like a video of somebody's like idea of what the story might have been, and like because it was really interesting because if that is the story, then like so many things connected that you didn't think connected, and it was like really complex and really cool. But I just love games like that where it's a story, but they don't even really tell you the story. It's like it's giving you the skeleton of the story and saying you fill in what you think we haven't told you.
Dang.
Yeah.
Deep stuff, man.
Can I speak about video games real quick that's almost completely unrelated, but it was a thought I had?
Yes.
No,
So, I cannot.
No.
Why? Will I be able to later, or is it just kind of like a zero, no passes?
Fine.
Thank you. There's a TV show that used to be a College Humor sketch that I
Called what?
I
didn't hear what you said.
I didn't say what it was called.
You said something.
A TV show that used to be a College Humor sketch.
College Humor. That's what I was asking. I didn't.
Sorry about that. I may have mumbled. there's a TV show that used to be a College Humor sketch called Adam Ruins Everything. I don't know if you guys, I don't know if you've heard of that. And they did one on video games. I thought it was fascinating because it talked about how back when video games were first invented, Pong, Oregon Trail, those games, there was no target gender and no target age group. I mean, of course, you have some games that were a little bit more childish, but for the most part, it was very gender fluid in terms of it appealed to anybody and everybody. But I believe at one point, it was like in the 80s or early 90s, video game developers didn't know where, like when they were selling to retail stores and like to Targets and everything, they didn't know where to put them. They didn't know whether to put it in the boys section or the girls section. And so they just made a decision, okay, we're going to put it in the boys section. And that's why video games have the stigma and the stereotypes of being male dominant, because it was just a marketing choice of, we don't know where to put it, we'll put it in the boys section. So then all video games started being more marketed towards boys, and that's why you see a lot more violent video games. And I mean, it was like, I don't even know what kind of video games it would appeal.
Male-led games, like male characters and stuff.
But the leading demographic in video game users is still women. And it's actually it is like middle-aged women because of iPhone games, because of phone games. So phone games like Candy Crush. I mean, like the moms dominate the video game industry because of Candy Crush.
Wow. And Candy Crush at its peak when it was like super popular was bringing in like $300,000 a day or something.
Yeah,
it was because all the little jewel packs people would buy. Because you get 100,000 people to buy $1 jewel pack. It's $100,000 for nothing.
I know.
You're literally giving them nothing in return.
Yeah,
for stimulation.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to throw that out there because I think that like, even the idea of talking about video games can be a very exclusive conversation. Yeah. Because, well, that's what nerds do. That's what boys do. That's what, I mean, it's very, it seems apparent, like, at surface level, it's very niche. Well, but it's like...
Well, and that's the thing. A great example is me and Chandler play Overwatch a lot. And she's better at it than I am. She's much more skilled at it. That's not the point. But the point is I'm still pretty good, guys. She's really good at it, and she likes to play with random people online. I want no part in that shit. Like, I don't want to talk to random assholes. Like, no. I'll sit there and be quiet the whole game, but she talks to them. And she joined a party once to play a game, and they were like, hey, are you a girl? And she said, yeah, and they cut her from the group. They ejected her or whatever. Yeah, just because she was a girl who's gaming. And they were like, oh, well, you obviously can't.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so it's still, like, it definitely has its, like, sexist things about it. And, like, Sniper Wolf, you heard of that YouTuber? She's a very good video game player. She plays Overwatch, is what I've seen her play. But she's very good. I mean, she's like top 500 in the world at Overwatch.
Damn.
And she's just a YouTuber, and, she's an attractive girl, and people think she's lying, and they say that the videos of her playing is like a boy playing for, and she's just commenting over it. And like, people shit on her all the time for being a girl who's fucking killer at video. Like, come on.
That's insane.
So it's definitely like, it's funny you brought up the male versus female kind of stigma, because that's very true.
But isn't that crazy how that's
all
how,
because of a
that's
fucking
how,
marketing dude somewhere. It was like, stick it in the boys section.
Yeah.
My son might
so they
like
just
this.
decided, okay, we're going to start marketing towards boys.
Well, and if you look at like girl games, like you go back to like Game Boy games and like classic Nintendo games, like the Barbie game, like JonTron, if you're not familiar with him, he used to do a lot of video game critiques, and he did one about the Barbie games, and they're all so like simplistic and stupid. It's like picking out what dress to wear and what Barbie's gonna style her hair. And the boy games actually had like story and like character development. All the girl games were these superficial, like, let's go shopping and collect all the purses.
The developers have no idea what women are interested in.
Girls don't like anything but hair and shopping. And dresses.
Yeah. So sorry, that was a little sidebar of just
but relevant. For once, it was a sidebar that connected.
There's a whole lot to talk there.
Yeah.
We're going to have to come back to video games.
We're absolutely going to come back to video games.
This is a part one of to be determined amount of episodes. Just like Star Wars, it'll just kind of go on until you exhaust it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
We can talk about a couple more, and then I think we should be good. But
yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
Have either of you guys heard of the game, The Stanley Parable?
Never.
I recognize that name, but I have no idea why.
Oh, okay.
I definitely have heard that before.
That's another that touches on a lot of different topics that we've discussed. So The Stanley Parable is a game that originally was made as a mod for Half-Life. I don't know if you guys have heard of Half-Life.
I have, but I have no idea why.
Half-Life is like
but there's a different name people call it. I've heard it called
Black Mesa.
No.
Oh, okay.
Gary's mod sounds similar. Is that the same?
Gary's mod is a mod that was based in Half-Life as well.
Oh, but
a lot of things were based in Half-Life because Half-Life was a huge deal.
Still waiting for Half-Life 3, am I right?
What is Half-Life?
Half-Life, ladies and gentlemen,
Oh boy.
is basically a game made by a developer called Valve. They make
out.
Portal and Left 4
4 Dead, my favorite video game series of all time.
But they made Half-Life, I don't even remember when.
The first Half-Life was like, I want to say like late 90s maybe.
Probably
What
late
is it
90s.
about?
It's basically about you play this
like a scientist.
scientist named Gordon Freeman, and
Mind of Freeman is a good video series, sorry.
oh,
On YouTube, anyway.
you play as Gordon Freeman in like this secret, basically lab organization called Black Mesa, and this experiment goes wrong, and I don't really remember the story in
like
the
these
first
little-
one. There's a bunch of zombies because there's these head crabs that they created,
they're
and head
monsters.
crabs will basically like attach themselves to your head and turn you into zombies, basically.
Oh, okay. So it's a zombie game?
Kinda, but not.
They're not classic zombies.
It's not really a zombie game because the zombies are really more of a side thing, at least in Half-Life 2, which is the one that I played. So Half-Life 2 was like a 3-part game. It was Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, and Half-Life 2 Episode 2.
Wait, then what episode was Half-Life 2?
I don't know. But
Episode 0.
yeah. But that has like, like the government is like really oppressive and things like that. It was really complicated. It was a fantastic game.
a very deep game.
It still
There's a lot-
holds
that's
up
cool.
A lot going on.
today.
That's
and
cool.
It was revolutionary, basically, like for the time.
And they're waiting for Half-Life 3, and it'll never come.
Oh, it'll never happen.
Because
It was basically confirmed that it's not going to happen.
it's not going to happen because there's a thing happening now with entertainment in general where the hype for something is so high that no matter what a developer or a creator can do, no matter what, they could literally produce objectively the best content ever, and people would still be upset. It's happening. Like Star Wars is a great
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
anything, and that's why Half-Life 3 will never happen. Left 4 Dead 3 will never happen.
Well, that's the joke, is that Valve can't make
third. They always
of
make
any
1 and 2
game.
and they get third. But
They
it's
made
true.
a Portal 1 and 2, Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, and
I think, like even Game of Thrones is an example.
Season 7 got terrible feedback.
And season 8 could be the quote unquote thought of as the worst season because people's expectations of shit nowadays is getting to a point where objectively, no matter what content creators produce, does not meet standards. So a lot of video games, I think, are getting stigmatized and beat down because of that worry. Like Fallout just keeps the new Fallout game I've heard is not already, like, people already don't like the new one.
Yeah,
and Fallout
probably.
4 got shit on. So now, but they're panicking because now they can't, and they're making objectively really good games. I mean, Fallout 4 looks really good, it plays really well, but because it just wasn't.
That's the danger of creating those serialized games. I mean, Call of Duty. Call of Duty has had like 5 duds in the last, but they're still making money.
And the thing is that because objectively the games are fine, but they're still duds and they're shit on because people are like,
that's a whole other thing.
Want.
We can touch on that later because I have thoughts about Call of Duty and all that as well. But going back to what I was saying, so Stanley Parable is a mod from Half-Life. Yep.
Oh yeah, with the Half-Life 10.
Yeah. And basically what it is you play as Stanley, and the entire game is narrated by this omniscient voice. And he basically like just says like, this is Stanley. He works in this office. His office is like number 498 or something like that. And then you play as Stanley, and you're just kind of in your office. And then the narrator says, and Stanley did this. And then you have to decide if you're going to do what the narrator just said that you're about to do. And
what if you decide not to?
If you decide not to, then the narrator starts getting passive aggressive, and eventually just starts saying things like, "And Stanley was really disobedient," and then like,
oh wow,
like it's really crazy and like really fun and hilarious. But like basically, you can either follow the narrator or not. But either way, it always ends up ending in some like really terrible way or something like that. Where, whatever. But really great game, really interesting.
I never heard of that.
Yeah, and then there was another one that I wanted to touch. Oh, I don't know if you guys have heard of No Man's Sky.
Yep.
Yes.
That's the one that had like infinite, quote unquote, like planets and generation.
Oh,
and, like,
yeah.
You were telling, yes.
Yeah.
And supposedly you'd never run into anyone else. Like the first day people found each other on like a planet. That's what I've heard. You ever heard that?
I mean, unless that happened recently, that didn't happen.
I heard the thing I heard was like that was the game that said it was supposed to be so big that you never run into another player, right? Like that was that game.
Yeah, maybe.
I
or
thought
maybe they
I-
found something that somebody else discovered. But
I thought I'd read
couldn't
that.
actually.
Well, no, it's just
See
they
each
could.
other.
They could. That was it. They couldn't see each other, but like friends were like looking at the screen and they were on the same planet.
Oh,
And they
wow.
Yeah, you're right. You couldn't see each other, but
Yeah.
they found each other like the first day or something like that.
Aww.
That's what I've heard. That could be. It's the internet, so I can only trust nothing on it. So, just kidding. Go back and check our episode, "True Facts from the Interweb." Those are all true facts from the interweb. Self plug. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm done now. I'm just.
I mean, it's an interesting game. I struggle with it because I don't know if it's good or not.
so what's the point of the game?
So
though?
basically, it's the point of the game is kind of just to explore, and
Is there like an end goal though? Like
there's a sort of a story. There are a lot of like really cool concepts in the game, but I feel like the game as a whole isn't complete. But it's really interesting, like the audience that it's attracted, because there are people who really love the game because for them it's just like really they love to just like explore a planet, like to just go to a planet and just walk and just look at it.
Are there like different biomes and like can you like swimming and like
see,
go
that's
in caves and stuff?
Yeah, you can. The thing is that's kind of weird about it is that each planet is its own biome, and so planets don't have different biomes in themselves.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So like a planet, if it's a snowy planet, it's snowy in the whole planet, and if it's a desert planet, it's desert for the whole planet.
That's no fun.
And eventually you kind of catch on that everything that you're seeing is a copy or a variation on things that you've seen before, just different colors, because there's only like a limited number of like models of
Yeah,
like,
I mean, there's only
plants and
so
rocks
many
and
things
like
they can
that.
put in there.
Right. And so it does kind of get boring, at least for me, after a little while of just kind of scanning the same rock on different planets over and over again. That's supposed to be a different rock, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of interesting concepts in it, like how there's like 3 different alien races, and you can learn their languages by finding like monoliths and like artifacts and things like that. But you learn it a word at a time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so when the aliens talk to you, it comes up as text rather than dialogue. And so in the text, it's a bunch of gibberish, except when they say a word that you know, and it comes up in red, and it translates.
So when you find more monoliths, are you able to look back at the texts that you received and you have more?
No.
Oh.
Like it's not like a text that you receive. It's like you're actually talking to the alien, but it comes up on the
like
screen as
subtitles.
text. Yeah, like subtitles.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I thought it was. I gotcha.
Which is really fascinating and like it's a really like interesting concept, I think, just in terms of like gaming in general, because like that means that you could legitimately learn a language in a game.
See, that's when games to me are no fun. Like the John Deere game, when it's work, and it's actual work you have to do.
That's the thing. Is like eventually for me it gets to a point where in order to get all the really cool things in that game, because you can get like a freaking like freighter where you can store several starships in it, and you can like it's a whole huge ship that has like a bunch of different like things you can do in it and all kinds of crazy crap.
How do you get that?
But it's
You
just
steal
like
it?
it takes so long.
You about to buy it?
So much mining that's just repeated mining. Now, a game that did a great job of repeated mining, but like as satisfying as Minecraft.
Oh, Minecraft.
Minecraft will forever be the most successful game that's ever been created, and
Man, we need to talk about Minecraft at some point. But I think we're running out of time.
I think we get its own episode. Yeah, we'll have to come back because Minecraft is a whole thing. Do you play Minecraft ever?
Oh my
I did a little bit, but
Oh.
I played it because my friends played it. I didn't have like my friends were so good at designing shit and like making like
There's
these
crazy shit in those games.
Yeah, I had no eye for it.
Oh, and by the way, the original Battle Royale, Minecraft had that before PUBG and before Fortnite.
It's called Hunger Games.
Yeah,
It's
it
just a
was
rip-off
it was
of the book.
24 little people in Minecraft.
So
and they
really,
build a little map.
The idea originally came from.
I know. Everyone always claims it's some
I used
Japanese
to know the
movie.
author's name. I can't think of her name.
Stephanie
J.K.
Collins.
Rowling.
Stephanie Collins?
Suzanne Collins.
Suzanne Collins, not Stephanie.
And everyone always says it is based off of some Japanese
Suzanne
movie.
Collins?
J.R.R. Tolkien.
Shut up, Jake.
Yeah, you're right.
George R.R. Martin, Stephen King. Let's just name
Suzanne
all
Collins?
the authors that you know. Go ahead and just
I don't
start
know.
listing
Whoever
them.
it was.
That's it. That's all
Dean
the authors.
Koontz?
That's all the authors.
James Patterson?
Koontz.
Who's that?
That was
Authors that moms
Dean
read.
Koontz. Wow.
Although he wrote Odd Thomas, which is a pretty good
Eckhart
book.
Tolle.
Edgar Allan Poe.
C.S. Lewis.
I feel like I am showing the world how unlearned I
J.K.
am.
Rowling.
I already said her.
Oh, no one heard
Amy Poehler.
Tina Fey. Amy Schumer.
Yeah, and
She wrote a book about herself.
Any actor.
Yeah.
They don't write those
Alright.
books.
Well, I think that was a pretty good conversation about video games.
Yeah.
Just
Good
so
start.
much more to talk about.
It's a
but-
good start.
Yeah.
More to come. Unless you
that
hated
it?
it,
Yeah.
then just
Then tell
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, let us know
then
that you
let
hate
know
us,
and we won't.
We'll
But-
block you.
I'm grabbing the mic.
Please give us feedback. We're not asking for much. Just tell us if you like what we're doing. Let us know that we're not talking to the abyss.
Seriously, if you liked it, fucking tell us. If you didn't like it, fucking tell
Yeah,
us.
leave a like, you people. Come on, just hit the heart, man.
No,
That's all
but we
need.
really but seriously, thank you so much for listening. Like,
And all
you
the
guys are the
support you've
fucking
been giving
best.
us.
Right as we get done shitting
Those
on you,
likes
we
on
still
Facebook,
like you.
you know.
Share
Yeah.
with your friends. Buy our merch.
Twitter still needs
Link
some
in
love.
bio.
Yeah,
but
when you-
that's all right.
Speaking of which, when you see a post about Quick Sidebar on Facebook, feel free to like it, share it. Lincoln,
Lincoln Thomas.
This is a shout out to you. Thank you for supporting us by sharing our stuff. We
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
On Facebook, he's been an active sharer of
Yeah.
our posts. So thank
Yeah,
you.
so
Does
keep-
not go unnoticed.
It does not. It does not.
It does not.
Yeah, like us on
not.
Facebook, find us on Instagram and Twitter. Remember to use coupon code SIDEBAR at projectmetaonline.wixsite.com/projectmeta for 10% off your purchase. And you can find our t-shirts with our logo, which is cool. So you should buy them.
DJ McHale's another author I like. He wrote Pendragon. That's a good series.
Pendragon.
Yeah, Bobby Pendragon. He was a traveler and he could travel different planets and fight off.
Bryan Cranston. I'm reading his autobiography.
He didn't write that.
Yeah, he did.
Can you believe that?
I
write
absolutely believe it.
I don't know. I don't trust. I think actors all just sit around and they do an interview with someone and someone else writes the book for them.
Yeah, it's still
Like him.
theirs though. Let's see. I have a lot of self-help books. You can see in my book.
Who wrote Ready Player One? That's a good movie.
Did you think it was a good movie?
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of people.
I
hated
love how
it.
you said who wrote Ready Player One. That was a good movie.
Yeah,
I haven't read the book, but I've seen the movie. So, but if the movie's good, the book is better always, right, guys? That's,
I heard that was not the case for Fight Club.
I don't like Fight Club, the movie. Unpopular
Really?
opinion. Don't enjoy the movie.
I
Sidebar,
really
sidebar.
need to see that movie at some point.
It's awesome.